So you got to be good at turning away from the ball. And the only way you're going to get good at being able to turn away from the ball and create space is if you can keep your shoulders a little bit more sideways. If you want to be a great volleyer, it's extremely important that you don't strike the ball from too far in front of you. If you get comfortable hitting forehand volleys from very far in front of you, it's going to encourage you to use an Eastern grip to allow you to deal with that shot comfortably. A continental grip is going to be very difficult to execute that shot if it's so far in front. So you've got yourself an Eastern grip to allow you to comfortably make this shot, but now you're going to have an awkward grip for a backhand volley. Your hand is going to be in front of the racket because of how far it was behind the racket for your forehand volley. The alternative is to have a grip change, which is obviously not something you really want to do when you're hitting volleys. You can get away with this a little bit if you have a Eastern forehand grip on your forehand volley and then you use two hands for your backhand volley. You can get away with it. But let's say we want to use a continental grip, we don't want to change grips, we have to get that ball a little bit more at the side of us to allow us to be comfortable hitting both the forehand and backhand volley with that grip. Now it's extremely important that when you're hitting a forehand volley, you keep your right shoulder behind your left. And a lot of people get this wrong. Even at a pretty high level, people will tend to get this right shoulder either be out in front before they strike the ball, or as they're striking the ball, they'll start with the right shoulder behind the left, but they'll follow through a little bit too much. And it's very important to keep the right shoulder behind the left because this keeps you strong. It's a very strong motion, whereas out in front we tend to again get the Eastern grip, start to use the wrist a little bit too much. But the movement really suffers and you start having real problems when balls come a little bit closer to your body if you're volleying, getting your right shoulder too far in front. Let's do a quick video analysis of this guy's forehand, someone I've been working with for quite a while. He has a good, solid forehand volley, but he tends to get that right shoulder ahead of the left, not before contact, because he's better than that, but he follows through to where that right shoulder gets ahead of the left and he swings across his body a little bit too much. Now the problem with this comes when the ball comes at his body. So because he's used to sort of turning into the shot, he struggles to create space here. The shoulders aren't sideways enough, the hips aren't sideways enough, so that the feet can't create space as well as they would be able to do if he held a more sideways position. So he gets a little bit too jammed, struggles to get away from that ball, struggles to create the space he'd be able to create if he got a little bit more comfortable volleying with his shoulders more sideways. And the more jammed he gets, the more I want him to get sideways. And people who get that right shoulder ahead of the left, the more jammed they get, the more they end up having to open up to get that contact point out in front. So you want to get used to turning away from the ball, not into the ball. Let's say a ball's coming right at me, kind of coming at my right hip, and I start turning into this ball. All I end up doing is just struggling to create space. If you get comfortable volleying with your right shoulder behind your left and keeping it there, then when the ball is coming at you, you can create space so much easily. So much easily. That's not even English. You get what I'm saying? So as that ball's coming, keep my right shoulder behind my left, then all my movement is, first of all, getting my left foot this way, turning my body sideways, and there's no ball that really jams me too much. I can play everything from in here. People who get into this position, they end up struggling. They have to do so much stuff to get to these contact points because they've allowed their right shoulder to get so far in front of their left. So you got to be good at turning away from the ball. And the only way you're going to get good at being
able to turn away from the ball and create space is if you can keep your shoulders a little bit more sideways. If this is your movement, then when you get jammed, your right foot wants to come this way, your right hip, your right shoulder, and everything's a problem. So get used to moving away from the ball and get comfortable volleying from here. The backhand volley isn't so much of a problem when it comes to getting the ball out in front and screwing up the footwork and getting jammed. Because you can tend to hit that ball from quite far in front, and even if you're in front, you can get your body moving around the ball and create that space. A lot of people, when they're trying to create space, they jam themselves a little bit, so it's very important that you get comfortable at playing open and allowing, again, that ball to come into your body. And you've got to be able to play backhand volleys like this and not jam yourself off the shot. But you also want that contact point to be pretty close, because you're going to have a lot more stability here than if you get that ball too far in front of you. Then you start having to bow your wrist, you lose a bit of strength, the racket head drops, or just like I said on the forehand, you start to use an Eastern backhand grip, because that makes sense. If someone says, hey, you got to volley from way out in front, well, Eastern volley makes sense. But you want to keep that continental grip, keep that ball close to you, and just like the forehand volley where you're moving around the ball, feel like you can create space by moving away.
So I just want to point one more thing out. As I play this volley open stance to create space, I contact this ball with a bent arm, and a lot of people get their backhand volleys too far out in front and they lose stability. You want to try and volley, I don't know if that is the middle of my racket, but I'm able to keep a very solid racket here because my arm is bent, and then I'll straighten it out a little bit, not all the time, but if I want to straighten it out, it's going to come after contact. Here's another one. Somewhat straight, but it's not locking out. So open with the feet to create space, letting the ball come to me, keeping the arm bent, and then it might straighten after this shot. If you stretch out too far in front and you get your arm straight before contact, you're going to lose a lot of stability.
Let me know if you got any questions. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. No one ever watches my volley videos. If you appreciate them, let me know. Talk to you soon. And also check out this video right here. It's probably the best video you'll see on volley footwork. And obviously, the footwork for a volley is extremely important because you don't want to be doing a whole lot with your hands. Check this video out. It's going to improve your volleys. Talk to you soon.